We're live for another episode, season 3, episode 7. Gus and pronounce Shamon.
Yes. Thanks for having
Welcome.
me.
Welcome, mate.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
It's a Friday night. It's about 40 degrees outside. It's cool in here.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. You got the aircon on.
That's it, mate. That's it. Well, it's great to have you on, and let's just jump straight in head first. Take us back as far as you can remember. You're, say, 3, 4 years old. What was it like growing up in the Shamon family? What do you remember as a little kid?
For me, growing up, it was at the start, at 3 years old, it was me, myself, and moving forward, I thought, I was going to be the only kid and then as moving forward, 3 years in, 6 years old, I had my sister and my brother.
Okay, so you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest, yeah, of four.
Oldest of 4. Okay. And your nationality again?
Assyrian.
Assyrian. And what area did you grow up in?
Mt Druitt.
Okay. Good stuff. And let's go back even further. Your father, mother, both Syrian?
So they were both born in Iraq.
Okay.
So in a city called Baghdad.
Yes.
Yeah. So they actually met in Australia,
Okay.
not in Iraq. So my mum ran from the war and my father ran from the war.
Wow.
Yeah.
What age did they come to Australia?
My father was 18 and my mother was 16.
And when they were 18 and 16 in Baghdad, what year was that?
Oh, that would have been. So they were born. Dad was born 1974, and mum was 1977.
And what was going on in Baghdad at that time of them growing up from the age of to 18? What was...
There was war torn country. For them, it was making ends meet. Mum was a child of 17 children.
Wow.
Yeah,
17 children.
17 children.
You don't hear about that in Australia.
Yeah,
17 children.
there was no TVs back then.
Oh my God. And what was happening in the war then? What was...
Well, it was a war with obviously with the country, and it was, to be honest, there was a lot of politics. I'm not one to look back because for me, I've always wanted to visit, where my parents were from, but it's hard at the moment.
Yeah. So your dad's 18, your mum's 16. They hadn't met, but why Australia?
Well, they actually, so being a family of 17 kids with the mum and dad, they applied for the US and then Australia, and some got accepted into US, some got accepted even into Europe, and they all just played. Whoever got accepted, got accepted. But back in those days, it was more so if you knew someone in Australia, you had more of a chance of getting in. So they had a friend who was in Australia prior to them coming. They applied and they said, okay, we'll let you guys in.
Wow. And does your dad tell you much about him getting out of Baghdad and the rest of it? What was going on? Was it a dangerous place, or was he in a safe?
At the time, he said it was leading up to no good. It was not so safe, but he knew he had to get out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been... I mean, you can only imagine us being in Australia and there's a war about to break out and you get up and go to a country, random country. Could he speak English?
Little, not much. He came here with not even $1. He was pushing Aldi trolleys, and he just started from the bottom.
So he came at 18. He arrived in Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney, straight away, Sydney, Australia.
And what happened the first couple of?
So he spoke to the person who brought him in. So the guys who brought him in, he knew. He asked them for work and just started slowly, building, and he started doing any job he could find. It was pushing trolleys, it was cleaning, just to make ends meet.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what area did you kind of grow up in?
Mt Druitt. We've been in Mt Druitt ever since.
back then when your father arrived to Mount Druitt? Was it mostly Aussie? Was it mixed? What was it like?
Yeah, it was mostly Aussies. Mostly Aussies. The people that were coming from Iraq were coming in slowly, not as fast as they are now, but they sort of they shifted to Mount Druitt because of that person they knew.
There you go. And at what age did your mum and dad meet? I'm testing you.
You tested me. So mum was 21.
Okay.
When actually mum got married at 21. So they met as soon as they got here when they were 18. When dad was 18, mum was 16. They met when mum was 19.
Okay.
And dad would have been 21.
Okay. Yeah. And both being Assyrian, they would have instantly had some commonalities and
yeah. So they had some commonalities, although it's obviously being from back there and the strictness. The families were very strict. Mum used to sneak out to see dad. It was hard, but at the end of the day, it was love for them.
Yeah.
And then dad became close with one of mum's brothers, and then they sort of grew from there.
There you go. It's a big thing, family, in those cultures, isn't it?
Yeah, very big.
Okay, so growing up, they've met. They're about 21 years old. What's your mum doing?
My mum was just at home. She was making sure, she was the youngest out of 17. Yeah.
And all 17 siblings came.
So it was 17. Before they were coming here, 6 passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's 11. So she's got 5 brothers and 5 sisters.
Crazy. Mind-boggling.
All the brothers are here, but only one sister here.
And the rest are in Baghdad?
No, so there's 2 in the US, 1 in Canada, and 1 in Switzerland. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a story and a half. This is this is another level. This is another level. So he's your dad's 21 years old. He's met your mum, and he's just doing odd jobs.
Yeah.
Wherever he can. What age did you kind of come along?
So mum and dad got married when dad was 25. So I would say 4 years after.
Yep.
And I was premature, so I got married. I was born the same year.
Okay.
So 1999.
1999. There you go. Okay. So when you were born, how was your father and mother? You were in Mt Druitt?
Yeah.
And what was your mum doing? What was your dad doing when you were born?
Still cleaning. My dad was in the cleaning business. Mum was a housewife, so she never worked.
Okay. Your father in a cleaning business. Tell us about that. Was he doing it himself? Was he?
So he was doing it himself for about 10 years, and then built a team from there. And these days I call him the octopus of business. He puts his hand in everything. So, but yeah, he done it for about 10 years, and then built a team. And then he at that point he just knew cleaning wasn't for him, and then he just moved. That's when he slowly moved to supermarkets. So he got into the supermarkets.
Wow.
And then
so he ran a supermarket. He owned a supermarket.
Yeah, he had a supermarket in Maryland.
Wow, what was that called?
Rita Supermarket.
Rita Supermarket. Still around?
No, he shut it down. He dabbled his hands in a few pies, and then literally 2 doors down, his sister's brother had a jewelry store.
Okay.
So then they partnered on the jewelry store.
What was that called?
Mazin Jewelry.
Mazin Jewelry.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so you're 4 years old. What do you remember? Is your dad working 7 days, or by that time was he?
To be honest, I haven't, like, my dad's been working ever since he got here, and I never had that relationship with my father till I was about 17. So I never saw him. He was always out. He was always working. Mum would look after us, whether it was sports, whether it was school, whatever it was. I never saw my dad till I was about 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like big hours. Just
big hours. Yeah, 7 days. You know, we would, even if we had like a family, let's say holiday, to go to the US for a wedding or something, like mum would take us.
okay. So you're 4 years old. You said three other siblings,
Three other siblings. Yeah, we're all 3 years apart.
all 3 years apart. Uh, you're 4 years old. What primary school did you go to?
Sacred Heart Catholic School, which is in Mt Druitt.
Okay. How was that? What was it like going to school there?
It was good. I was actually good in school. I was good in school. You know, make sure my uniform was right. You know, mum would always look after us. Have the best lollies. Have the best. You know, it was, yeah. Parents looked after us. You know, I wouldn't say I lived a tough childhood, because I didn't. Um, but no matter how hard it was, Dad never showed us it was hard. He never made us go without.
Were you the popular kid in school?
No,
No? Quiet?
yeah, very quiet. Wouldn't talk.
Wouldn't talk. Why is that? Was there multiculturalism? Was there many people that were Syrian there? Was there? How'd
There
you meet?
was, there
Yeah.
was, but I think for me, growing up, I wasn't very social. You
Okay.
know, was always shy. I didn't like to mix with people. I only liked to mix with people I knew.
There you go. And sport. You into sport when you were a
Sport,
kid?
yeah. So up to, I would say, 12 years old, I played soccer for a club called Rudy Hill.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got into a few fights when I was younger. So mum was always, throwing it in there. You should, go to the boxing gym, or. So from 12 till about 20, I was in the boxing gym. So I boxed for 8 years.
Wow. There you go. So, all right, you're in primary school. You're not super social. I mean, did you like maths, English? Was there anything you liked academically wise?
Maths and English, I was good. For me, I was good when I had to figure something out myself, you know. But I wouldn't say I would always be into, let's say, the general subject. I wouldn't go to the intermediate, like advanced maths, or you know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're in primary school. Would your parents take you on holidays during that time?
Not so much. We never went on much holidays. If we'd spend time with the families and whatnot, we'd get together on the weekend, but I wouldn't say holidays. We never, Dad was always working. Mum was looking after us, making sure we're okay. Making sure we're good in school, making sure we're all looking after each other. So it was very hard to separate from each other.
And I mean, not having your father around so much, how did that impact it all? Was it just normal? Was it just all you knew? Or
I
tell us
think
about that.
for me, it was, I actually didn't realize till I was about 17. I was like, I look back and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like he never made it shown that he wasn't there, you know? And mum would always do a good job, and it was just, yeah. To us, it was like, we look back now, me and my brothers and my sister, and we're like, he never, he never showed us once that, he wasn't there for us, or, you know.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So you get to high school. Where'd you go to high school?
Mayes Catholic College,
Where is that?
Kemps Creek.
Kemps Creek. It's a little bit different now, isn't it? That place.
Yeah, it's a growing area.
Massive. And how was high school for you?
High school was good. Mixed myself with the wrong people though. Started to get into a lot of fights, and you know, um, got lost direction a bit there with bad mates, and going out, especially towards the end of high school, going out with the wrong people, and it just, yeah, led me to a bad place. But my father got involved at that point and was like, "You need to slow down."
So what was going on from kind of year 7 to 12? I mean, early days were you always, from when you got to high school, running a bit of a muck? Tell us about it.
Yeah, in high school, I wouldn't say running amok. I think it was more after year 10 where I was like, I thought I'd let go a bit. But from year 7 to 10, I was always the one who would do his homework. Make sure like my brothers were good, my sister was good. I would make sure that you know for me, one thing my parents wanted was to be good in school, to get good grades, good education. For me, it was important. So I always made sure my teachers, like, I wasn't a teacher's pet, but I would make sure my teachers were happy.
Yeah, yeah. Did you have any side hustles in school?
Yeah, I actually tried, I did try a few e-commerce stores when I was younger. Yeah. I tried a lot of businesses in the e-commerce probably up until 20 years old.
Okay, so in high school, how old were you when you kind of started having a crack at e-commerce?
So I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
Why? Was it, do you
Yeah.
just interested or money or why'd you?
I just I was researching. I was researching, and I was interested to see like what the online world was about.
There you go. Um, it wasn't really the money, it was more just
No,
intrigued.
it wasn't the money for me, because obviously we never got, we were never without anything. It was we always looked after, whether it was school, whether it was you needed money to go out with your mates. It wasn't that. I think I was more interested in the fact that, you know what are people doing online. You know.
Fair enough. Anything successful in your ecom in your high school days?
No, no, a lot of
What
fail.
would you try to sell, man?
I was selling water bottles, drill bits, yeah, anything I could get my hands on. But I think I didn't study it well. You know, I would like during that time I'd even go to Parkley markets on the weekend, and like I'd set up a stand, and dad at that time dad had brought some stuff over from overseas, and it was like toys and stuff for kids. So I'd put them all together and go to Parkley markets and try to sell them.
You're hustling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not normal in high school to be thinking like that. It, it, why were you doing all that? Was there something you were looking up to your dad, the way he worked? Was it something that you
Yeah, I
wanted
think for me it was, I knew, like in my heart, I knew I was, I knew that there was more to life than, you know what I mean, just go to school and just follow a system. Because for me, at a early age, I figured that school was like a jail. You know, it was like you got a set of rules, you got to follow, you got a uniform, you got to follow, you got things you got to do. It's, to me it was like there's more to life than this. And then it really hit me when I left school.
Yeah. So in school, I mean, did you enjoy it during the days, or you just uh, tell us about that?
No, I did. I actually loved going to school. I would get up early, every morning, have a good breakfast, go to school, enjoy the day, come home. It was actually something I look forward to, you know?
And tell us about the boxing during the high school days.
Yeah, the boxing, when I got into boxing at 12, it was, to be honest, I was a bit scared, I got into the boxing gym and I'm like, I don't know what to expect, you know? I don't know what's on the other side. I'd see people sparring and I was like, wow, like, it's real. So slowly, I started to train. I would train in myself in the corner, and then after 1 year, I met the trainer, and we spoke, and then he's like, "What do you want to get out of this? Training? Are you just training on your own, or are you just training to be in a competition?" I said, "Look, I'm just training, to get some sort of skills, nothing, not to compete." Because my mom gave me one word. She said, "You can box, but you can't compete." Because I don't want to see you in that ring.
There you go. And just the skills, you're hustling,
Yeah,
you're boxing. Seems like you got a bit of a fire in your belly, in the high school days.
yeah. I think that fire sticks with me till now, and I'm like, I hate sleeping. I don't, I like to enjoy myself. I like to use my time wisely. I don't like to waste time. I'm not one to sit there and watch TV. I want to know what's on the other side. I want to know, like, I'm optimistic. I'm thinking of what's the next big thing.
Where's the fire come from? In the high school days, because we'll build up.
Yeah.
What's it? There's an underlying fire because of something. I mean, parents have come from adversity. Where's that fire?
I think that fire comes from within. It was to give back to my parents. To give back.
Did you feel you needed to give back because their adversity? They're just it's a point to prove.
To me, I felt like I owed them something. I owed them something that I need to give back to them. Even though they say to me, well, you don't owe us anything, but it was like, I'm blessed to be in Australia. Blessed to be in a beautiful country where I have opportunity to go to school, opportunity to go to work.
And during your high school period, did you ever go back to Syria?
No, I've never been to the Middle East.
Never been to the Middle East. There you go. Is it something that you've wanted to reconnect, or is it something that?
It is, yeah, it is. I do want to go back and see specifically where mum and dad used to live. How the situation was. I think for me, it's good to look back and just understand the life that it was there. And to be thankful that what if I was in that situation.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just another level of a story, and yeah, I guess it was during your high school period. You went to the US, was it, or were you younger when you went to the US?
Yeah.
Tell us about the US when you were young.
Yeah, so we went to the US when I was 12 years old, and my mum got called by her sister, telling her that her daughter's getting married, and she wanted, obviously, me and her kids to be at the wedding. So mum's obviously prepared, told dad we're going to. Dad obviously couldn't come because it's too busy. And I was actually a groomsman for the wedding. So it was first time I've been a groomsman. It was
never met your never met him over there.
No,
too?
Never met him.
Instantly.
Yeah.
VIP.
Yeah. So then went there. It was all new to me.
What part of America was it?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
We landed in Los Angeles. We stayed there for a bit, and then we went to San Diego.
Not bad.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that experience?
It was good. It was good, actually. We got to the airport, and I seen Kanye West there.
Really?
Yeah.
What was going on?
Yeah, I just seen him. It was so normal. It was like, to me, I was shocked. I'm like, this is crazy, and everyone was normal. People were just doing what normal people do. No one was worried. No one was like, oh, it's Kanye. And I literally walked up to him and I said, Kanye, can I get a photo? And I wish I had that photo, but he literally let me take a photo, and then we took a photo and just walked off like nothing happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was Kanye. Was that the old Kanye back then?
Yeah, the old Kanye.
Yeah, that's the before homecoming.
Before homecoming.
Graduation.
Yeah.
What an album, eh?
Yeah.
The skits and everything.
I know. He's too good.
The old Kanye. No, that's crazy, man. So you're there with your siblings in America. It's the first time you've been overseas.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Going overseas, did that inspire you with anything?
Not really. To me, going overseas was obviously to see family and whatnot, but I think at that age, I didn't think it was bigger than what it was.
Yeah.
I just sort of went with the flow and, made sure I was, with the family, and yeah.
It's like that when you're young. Everything's a blur, right?
Everything's a blur.
You don't know. But I feel like it's not until you get to like a 22, 23, you kind of work yourself and you start appreciating, like, I'm really blessed to be able to like not work like and just enjoy.
Yeah, 100%.
Only then. Okay, so during high school, you got your side hustles. You're doing all bits and pieces. You're doing e-com. You're going down to Paddy's markets. You're boxing. You stayed to year 12?
Yeah.
All right. Gus comes out of year 12, 18 years old. What's going on?
Straight to my dad's business.
And what was that at the time?
Well, he was in construction. We started in labor hire.
Labor hire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So doing labor hire. First site was actually not far from me. On this street, Hunter Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was going on? What were you doing with your dad?
So went to my dad, said, "Look, I want to work. You know, I want to work with you. I want to be in your business." And he said, "Yeah, no problem. You know, I'll get you on." So next day, got all my gear, you know, hard hat, high vis, and whatnot. And yeah, was at work the next day, jackhammering, and just on the general labor duties.
How was that?
It was tough. It was tough. You know, I had a few of my dad's friends who were supervisors who were working on the same job site, and after months of working, and I was in the mud in the lift shafts, and I was jackhammering, and I was brooming, and
Gave you the hard ones, eh?
yeah, gave me the hard ones, and they would literally come up to me and tell me, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. You're the boss's son. And then I was like, just no, I need to do this, you know. And not long ago, actually, my one of those guys that was there with me brought up a story. He's like, I begged your dad to stop you from doing that hard work, and he said, leave him. He needs to learn.
Good stuff. Awesome. I think that's good parenting.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
These days, they'll call the police.
Yeah, These days is another story. But you're 18 years old. How many days you working per week?
18 years old, I was working all week, 6 days a week.
6 days, eh?
Yeah.
On the day off, what would you do?
I would just relax at home. Sometimes we'll help dad at home, help mum at home, but I was always working. You know, I always wanted to work.
6 days a week. I mean, good money when you're doing that kind of.
100%.
What are we doing with the money? You spending? You saving? What's going on?
At that time, I was going out, so I was saving and spending,
18 years old. You look around, new world.
Yeah.
You get obsessed, caught up in all sorts, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
The time to do it. When you were doing the labor hire, how many employees did your dad have at that time?
At that time, he had about 400 employees.
What?
Yeah.
400?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Apex.
Apex.
Labor, yeah.
I've heard of Apex.
Yeah, Apex Labor Hire.
Okay, wow. 400 employees, and he must have been doing jobs for, I mean, construction everywhere.
Yeah, he was. He'd have a lot of full timers, so there would be like 20, 30 guys of his on one site.
Wow. There you go, and this is all over Sydney.
All over Sydney, yeah.
And your dad, I mean, what's your dad doing? Is he putting all back into the business, just going hard, or is he also kind of getting investments and doing things, or how was he?
At the moment, or you mean back then?
Back then, when you were 18.
Yeah, back then he was very focused on the business. You know, growing the business and clients. Like I used to see him. Back then he would like write purchase orders, you know, with his hand on paper and bring it to the job site every morning and hand it to the builder.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, he must have been 7 days a week. Explains why he wasn't around so much, because he was building an absolute animal.
Yeah.
And where was his office? His site?
Silverwater.
Yeah. Okay. What's happening with Gus, 19, 20 years old?
Still working. I moved from labor hire. So I'd done labor hire for, I would say, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
And then I went into the formwork. So dad had a formwork business.
And just with the labor hire, what would have been the hardest job out of all the shit?
I think it was for me getting thrown in a lift shaft with half a meter of concrete and getting told you have to jackhammer this down.
So lift shaft, like it's a cubicle, right?
It's a cubicle. It's hot. It's closed off. You got one lift door. You know, you want a jackhammer.
Okay. And why is it filled up with concrete? You get a jackhammer down.
So when they were pouring it, as they go up in levels, the concrete was obviously seeping through, and it's built up. And from, let's say, where it needed to be, which was at 0, the concrete's filled up half a meter.
So you're in this little cubicle,
Mm.
this jackhammer, and there must be shit flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's all
Dust,
dust,
rocks, this, that. How do you breathe?
I had to take breaks. But it was torture.
My mate was telling me he was working on some job sites doing the whole sweep, and he goes, it's literally hell.
Yeah.
The noise, the vibrations,
Yeah.
the dust everywhere you can't see.
It's a rush. By the time you get out of there and you're like,
Crazy. Okay, so you're 20 years old, you come out of the labor hire company.
Yeah.
But your dad never did you any favors? You never got any special treatment?
No, he would look after me with the wages. Like, he would give me as per normal, like whatever I worked, I'll get. But it was not, whatever I didn't work, it's not like I got an extra. It was you work for it, you get paid.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so what happens after 20? 20 years old.
20, still going out partying, spending my money. Didn't save a dollar. 21, 20 to 21, worked in the formwork. Dad had a couple projects going on, so I would go from project to project. Understand, after a year, I knew it wasn't for me. So
what kind of formwork is?
Formwork, so he would do like high rise.
Okay.
So for residential units. So he had a good connection. So he had a good connection because of his labor hire.
Yeah.
So they've opened up a formwork company in 2016. And then he had a few projects going on, and I started there, and for me, after a year, and I'm like, this is not for me. It was heavy work, and just a lot of intensive labor involved.
Okay, all right. So you're 21 now. What?
21 is when macro started.
What's that?
So I was in the formwork. Dad was buying a lot of material. He was buying a lot of formwork material for his projects. And at that point, I thought about it. We had three consecutive days with 3 material deliveries every day. And I remember going home one day and sitting with Dad and talking to him and telling him how, like, the material you buy, is it from one supplier? Is it how, sort of, is everyone getting it from one supplier? How does it work? And he sort of, it clicked to him too, and he's like, no, it's from, there's a few different suppliers, and whoever's got the stock and whoever's the cheapest, we buy it from. And I said, have you ever looked at importing it, or looked at bringing it from overseas, or saving costs? And he says, no, we haven't. So from then on, took a trip to China.
China?
Yeah. Took a trip to China.
By yourself or with some mates or what?
No, me and Dad took a trip to China.
Okay.
And we went around, looked at the factories, and, got an idea of the costing, and then came back. We stayed there for about 5 days, came back, compared the costings, and just, it was mind-blowing.
There you go. What do you mean mind-blowing? I mean, to sell, let's say there's some wood for $100 in Australia being sold. How much are you buying it in China? Well, we're giving away the secrets.
Oh, it doesn't fall for every product, don't worry.
Yeah.
But it was, for example, like, especially Dad, for him, saving money on material that's where you make your money. And for him, he's like, if he saved, let's say, even $20 on a product, and he would use thousands and thousands of square meters of product, and it would just add up, and It's for him it was like, this is the way. But for us, we looked at it from a price point. We never looked at it from a quality perspective. So there was also defects. There was also things you had to take in place, which the big thing for me was like, okay, this is an opportunity, but I didn't think, because there was problems. There was, maybe someone 10 years ago thought about this idea, but they didn't do it. There's a reason why they didn't do it.
Yeah. So macro timber, I mean, tell us about it. Like, is it you and your dad, yourself, had that?
So it was in conversation with me and my father, but I've started it all myself, still myself. Dad's in the background with guidance, but yeah, just started myself. Me and a little, Dad gave me a little space in his office, and started from there. Dad had some machinery as well, had some forklifts in his yard and stuff. So used that to sort of push, and Dad was a big help.
But when it comes to macro timber, obviously it's all timber. Is it just timber or?
Yeah, so just timber. So mainly all timber involved. We do a bit of building supplies like gyprock and whatnot, bagged products, but not so big in it. It's more timber focused.
There you go. And when it comes to timber, nothing comes from Australia. I thought we had good hardwood and stuff from
We
Australia.
do, I do. So now majority of my material comes from New Zealand.
Okay.
I buy from local suppliers here, big wholesalers.
Yeah.
And we still import some material.
There you go. So must be massive containers of.
Yeah.
I mean, wood. I mean, houses, commercial, everything. Everything's wood, right?
Everything's timber. Yeah. It's just a never-ending industry.
Yeah. And is it something that, I mean, like, what do I hear? Like steel's up by like 30%.
Yeah, steel's. They're saying steel is going to change the industry, and people, going to use less timber. But with timber, there's movement. You can. There's tolerance. You can adjust. You can work with it. With steel, it's very hard to work with. It's not a. I think maybe in 30, 40 years, who knows? But at the moment, I don't think timber will phase out.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so just what happens in the first year of macro timber?
So started. So Dad obviously had his material and whatnot, and the first container, Dad said, I'm gonna bring it in. It was of plywood. So Dad brought it in, and we put it on the ground. We didn't put it next to his material. I said, I'm gonna try to sell this. So I've gone, put a list of contacts, searched up form workers, Sydney, put a list of form workers all together, their numbers, took some photos, send it out. I got so many people. Sold it all. Come back. Next day, had messages. Timber, plywoods, delambing. Plywoods in the water. Plywoods, it was bad. I got burnt that. So it was like, it was never ending. And I thought this is going to come crashing down.
So wait, the timber that you saw had problems?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean in the water?
So for example, the product that you bring in can only, let's say, China's got different regulations, different weather, So for them, it was just a cheap product. And for us, it was a cheap product. We said, the pricing's different. Let's bring it in. Brought it in. It was raining that day.
Okay.
So obviously all the rain. And when you buy plywood, for you to use it, especially in the formwork, it's got to be a clear finish. So no bubbles, no, there's a lot that comes into it. And we never thought of that.
You learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's year one. What else is happening in that year one? I mean, you got to make a logo. It's a new business for the first time. Tell us about the whole experience.
So for me, it was, I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about a logo. I knew nothing about a website. I just went out there and put a logo together. I actually searched up logos, and I seen a logo I liked, and then I went to a graphic designer, and I said, make this logo but with this name, and then they've put it together.
And where did the name come from?
Macro came from, where my language means big and sharp.
There you go.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Okay, so what are the type of challenges you're facing in that first year?
it was a learning year for me. It wasn't for me. It was I slowed down on the sales. Slowed down. It was for me. It was learning the product. I had to learn the ins and outs. I'd visit job sites, where there was form work. I'd ask the foremans, can I have a look at your product? What product you're using. I'd call suppliers and, ask them about specs. So I'd learn what's going on because I literally had no idea.
Yeah. Okay, and when it comes to timber, like, what is it? 10 different types?
Oh, there's thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah. There's thousands. There's like at the moment we have 2,000 product lines.
What?
Yeah.
Talking about timber trees.
Yeah, timber. It's all different timber.
So is it different trees, or is it different way that it's cut, or a combination?
Different way it's cut, different way it's grown, the plantation, the tree. It all, yeah. Different countries, different.
So with your 2,000 lines, do you hold that in stock, or?
So at the moment we hold probably about 500.
Okay, when you hold 500, how big is this space?
The warehouse.
Yeah.
So the macro, I'm sitting on where my stock is, 3,000 squares.
Wow. That's a lot of timber.
It is, yeah.
And timber expensive?
Very, very expensive.
Okay. Right. What was the what's happening in year number 2 for macro timber and Gus?
For me, year number 2 was I would stop importing. So I found someone who was selling product, and I would buy their product and sell it to the client. And he was a wholesaler, so he wouldn't sell direct to my customer.
Right.
So I would buy from him, sell it to the customer, make a little bit of money. It wasn't big money, it was a little bit, but it was, for me, it was testing the products. It wasn't just selling it at the time, it wasn't trying to make the dollar. I failed the first year, I got burnt. And for me, it was, I need to step back and, and learn this before, because for me, I was thinking about it. I'm like, this is people's projects, and it's, for me, I'd look at a building and not know how it was built, and I'm like, I'm playing with big money and fire here.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so year 2, again, it's more learning.
Yeah, more learning, still selling, but I wouldn't say as quick as I wanted.
Okay, year number 3, what's going on?
Year number 3, it was open accounts with suppliers. So after that research, I'd open accounts with suppliers, meet with suppliers, and I'd build all the connections with the suppliers. And from then on, I would buy a bit from this person, sell it, and it was more of that relationship game,
How many team members you got in year 3?
Team members, I had 4.
Wow. And is it the 3,000 square meter place you have now, or different?
Same place, but it was smaller. I only had a smaller space because Dad was using all the other space.
There you go. And so you get the timber. Do you drive it to them too, logistics, or
No, so we had a truck. Yeah, so they would pick up majority, but we
Yeah.
had a small truck I would use with Dad. So Dad had his small truck, and I would do deliveries with that truck.
And tell me, in those first years, builders are notorious for not paying their bills.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
yeah. So at the start we got burnt. The third year we at the start everyone was paying, but then the third year I realized you had to give accounts. You had to give 30-day accounts. And for me, I was like, 30-day accounts, it's new. You know, I don't know anything about a 30-day account. And I think I gave out timber probably about 5,000, and Dad was always in the back end and, you know, watching, and literally I gave it out on goodwill, and the next day never heard from the guy. Literally never heard from him. Would go days on call, and I would never hear from him. And it was 30 days in, and I started researching, you know, just silly things like, what if someone doesn't pay you? And, you know, at that point I found an insurance company that credits you for, you know, unpaid debt, or, you know. So for me, I researched that insurance, and I got that insurance on board. And then anyone moving forward had to fill out a credit application, go through the credit checks, and, you know. But with all this going on, I had to do the forklift, I had to do the sale, I had to do the accounts. I was doing it all myself, not realizing that I need to put people in place, you know?
Yeah. There you go. Again, you're rolling your sleeves up and finding out the hard way with everything, and I think that's how it is. And what was your dad doing kind of that time? Is it still just the labor hire company, or is it there's more things?
He's got the labor hire and the formwork he was doing.
And the formwork. So he's keeping busy, and your mum is
Mum
still
is housewife.
cool. Um, your siblings, what were they?
So siblings still in school,
Okay.
at the time, and now that brother was in the business and then branched out on his own. So he runs a tools business out of his van. So he does van deliveries, and so he operates out of his own van and runs his own business.
Cool. So how long has Macro been around for now?
4 years, 2025 going on to 5.
Okay, so what's happening in the fourth year?
Fourth year is we've grown, we've got connections, we've got suppliers, we've got a customer base. It's growing. It's growing. People start to know us for good product, and
They see your trucks around.
yeah,
I see him. I see him driving up and down. What's the fleet look like now?
Now I've got 3 trucks. I've got one with a high-ab and 2 smaller trucks.
Cool. And the space, lots of stock.
Lots of stock, yeah. We grew, so I was looking with Dad. He gave me about 200 squares and grew from there. You know, as obviously more customers, more material grew. Now we cover about 3,000 squares.
That's insane. And Macro timber today, where do you see it? Who are the type of people you're selling to, type thing?
Builders mainly. So builders, carpenters, mainly tradie. It's more of a trade store. Very trade focused. Yeah, the builder for me, it's the builder that is time poor, the builder that is wants quality material, the builder that is hungry to build a relationship with their timber supplier.
Awesome. And talk about time poor. Like, how do you solve that?
I think it's as a timber supplier, it's being on the other side and understanding the builder. You know, builders, you may know as well, very time poor, especially when ordering materials. Being a big part of the project, it's they go home after work, sit down, do the quantities, do the calculations, send it off to the timber yard, hoping they can get it as soon as possible. So for me, it's offering that service, adding value to the builder. You know, it's not just for me. The biggest thing is to eliminate a price conversation.
Yeah. And speed.
Yeah.
Very good. Where do you see Macro Timber in 5 years' time?
5 years time, 3 stores. Hopefully 3 stores, and being known as the builder's choice.
The builder's choice. It's really blown my mind. The fact that there's over 5,000 different plus timber variations.
Yeah.
That you can hold 2,000 timber lines. You know, these 2,000. I mean, that's some serious stock, Gus.
Yeah.
Like, and you need quantities of all those 2,000. That's like thousands of tons.
It is. Yeah. It's a lot of timber, a lot of material.
Just gotta watch there's no fires, man. That's pretty crazy. And how long would you hold on to stock for? I mean, does it move once a year?
Yeah, it moves pretty quickly. I wouldn't say we hold a lot of stock. We hold a bit of everything, but I wouldn't say we hold a lot of stock. It's just obviously with seasons, like timber is sold seasonally, you know. There's a few products that get sold all year round, but like now, for example, it's a summer season, so people are into their decks. You know, you got timber for decks, so you'd focus on bringing on more timber for decks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, not into the building game, but like if I ever wanted timber, all I know is Bunnings.
Yeah.
What's the difference between, like, would you service someone who's just got a home that can just come by, or is it only for people that with big stock?
No, we do service the retailers. So I've got a trade store, so people can actually walk in. You know, we service everyone at the moment. About a year ago, I wasn't servicing retail market. It was a bit of a hard market to deal with.
Yeah.
Just understanding their needs and especially the way the yard was structured. It wasn't structured for someone to walk in. I would say safety and all these other things. It wasn't structured that way.
Cool. And what's the difference between going to Bunnings to get some wood and yourself to get some timber?
For me, it's the difference is it's a personal relationship. I'm the business owner. I'm there every day. You see me. If there's a problem, you can come to me. It's that personal relationship. You know, it's that feeling like you're valued. You're not just another number. You know.
That's the podcast snippet. You cut that. That's the one. Oh no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you, again, you seem like extremely ambitious to grow it. That fire still burns. But tell me, if there's one piece of advice that you'd give a 10-year-old Gus, what would that be?
For me, I would say consistency beats perfection. And what I mean by that is keep going. Don't try to be perfect. You know, no one's perfect. And remember that what you do now is for the future.
What you do now is for the future. Now, you remembered growing up and your father wasn't around, but he was kicking goals in the business world. Yeah. What you do now is for the future. You get individuals that they take the weekends off, they spend time with their family, and then you get other individuals that are just career focused. And what you just said again, think of the future. What do you rather? Chase those business goals 7 days a week, or is it the other side? How do you see?
To me, it's chase those business goals. You know, non-stop. You know, for me, I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to chase those goals, and I think, you know, you have, let's say, 8 to 10 hours of working hours in a day. You know, and it's not about how many hours you do in a day, but it's about what you do in those hours that matters.
Yes, focus. Definitely. And I mean, today you can look at Macro Timber, your website, your social media, of course.
Yeah.
You got the best social media.
I wonder who does it.
Yeah, I wonder who. But no, the team rave on about the vibes and the culture, and it's at your place. It's another level. We work with many building suppliers, and they absolutely love coming to visiting you guys, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you in. It's hearing the story. We go back from your parents, father 18, mother 16, escaping war-torn Baghdad, ending up in Australia, knowing very few people, and just doing odd jobs out in Mt Druitt, to your father working 7 days a week to meet ends meet. They had yourself, and he still worked 7 days a week. You grew up close with your mother, your siblings,
Very close.
but you had a burning desire. Took it out in your boxing, side hustles. You were thinking, you were stimulated. You came out of school, you jumped into the trenches, and it sounds like it's you've always based things off a hard work ethic. Even with your father, with over 400 employees, you were there doing the hardest stuff. You wanted to start something yourself from the ground up, and you did that. And in a short couple of years, you've already a player in the game. You've made it successful. I say we run this podcast back in maybe 10 years and see.
100%. We'll see who's working.
Yeah. I've got the feeling that your dad is still kicking goals. You're kicking goals. I got the feeling that it kind of runs in the DNA, and I got the feeling that there is an appreciation and gratefulness, and there's a lot of gratitude to just be able to be in a country with opportunity, and I get the feeling that you didn't arrive, your parents didn't arrive, and yourself, and say, you know what, life's great. You've taken it. It's now that I've got the opportunity. I'm gonna not
100%.
leave a single % of a window to lose anything.
100%.
That's the gist that I'm getting.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's two types of people. When things are going well, they're in a good place. They go, great.
Yeah,
Life's good.
Let's sit back
Life's
and relax.
good. Relax. And there's other people. You give them an inch of opportunity, and they're just vicious.
Yeah.
And even
100%.
if there's no opportunity, no doors are open, they'll go kick down a door.
They'll figure it out. It's for me, it's what you do with your time is important. And being very thankful, as you mentioned, is you always got to stay humble, because you could have it all and you could lose it all just as fast as you got it.
Yeah. And this burning desire, again, I'm sure you could go in and work with dad, and I'm sure that you could. But the burning desire, what's it all for? Is it the money? Is it a future family? Is it proving a point? Is it making someone proud? Is it like what's the why?
My why first is my parents. To give back to them, to thank them for everything they've done for me, and to show them that I'm here to give back, and show them that what they did not go unnoticed.
Awesome. Well, Gus, I think we can finish on that. That's a wrap. I think it was a really, really, really interesting story, especially backdating it from your parents. Really kind of stemmed from there. And well, thank you for coming out on your.
Thanks, sorry. Thank you.
I know you value time, and I think we've just what's that? An hour? What are we? 59 minutes.
Exactly on the dot.
59 minutes of Gus's time. He's gonna go out there and sell some timber now.
Thanks, sorry. Thanks for having me.
Shake your hand, bro.
Legend.